Hi guys, happy Monday. I have a meeting right now, so I am in the school building, but I'm not actually going to be in class with you guys today. So I wanted to have this little video so that you guys could get some instruction and know what we want to do so that we can have a really productive week. We're almost to the end of the trimester, and this is Halloween week, so I wanted to give us an opportunity to read a really classic scary story. It's one of my personal favorites. It's The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the name. You've probably seen SpongeBob episodes or Simpsons episodes that are kind of parodies or spoofs on The Telltale Heart. It's a really famous story that's really inspired a lot of different stories and again been used in classic, or I shouldn't say classic things, but childhood classic things like SpongeBob. Before we get reading The Telltale Heart, I want us to activate our background knowledge and get to know a little bit more about Edgar Allan Poe. I've really found that when we're able to understand the author and maybe some of their inspiration for writing in the way that they do, it helps us understand their story better. So we're actually all going to read, and this will be your assignment today, read this article. So you guys will have printed copies available to you, and hopefully you grabbed them from the counter as you came in. All of us have this article. It's also on your Canvas, so you're able to access it there as well. It will be important for you to have a paper copy just like I do here, because you are going to be expected to highlight and annotate and take notes on the article and turn that in as part of your credit for your assignment that you're going to complete today and tomorrow. So, like I said, the first thing that we're going to do is read this article. When you read the article, I want you to pay attention to the thieves' strategy. Remember, the thieves' strategy is a pre-reading strategy, meaning pre means before. So before we read an article, we use this strategy to help us understand or get a better understanding of what we're going to read. Okay, so when you are starting to read the article, remember to look at the board and pay attention to each one of these letters because they all are important. I have my copy right here, and it may be easier for you to follow along and look at the actual article online while we talk about this. So remember, when you're reading this article, the first thing you're going to look at is T, the title. So if we look here, biography.com, that's the name of the website. The title of this article is actually Edgar Allan Poe Biography. These dates underneath show that he lived from 1809 to 1849. So, pretty old guy. We've got our title. The next thing we want to look at is our heading. Now, in this particular biography, and remember, bio means life, graph means to write, so it's something written about someone's life. So we know that this is going to be about Edgar Allan Poe and about his life. The heading's kind of a little bit ambiguously placed. It's just a group of words right here, but if we look at it, it says that Edgar Allan Poe is a writer and critic famous for dark, mysterious poems and stories, including The Raven, The Black Cat, and The Telltale Heart. So again, we see from this heading, we should expect to be reading about a writer who's famous for dark and mysterious poems. When I think about dark, sometimes I think about evil or maybe scary or spooky, but definitely if he's dark and mysterious, these are probably not happy stories. Okay, he didn't write necessarily, or you can assume just from the heading, he didn't write to make us feel good. Now remember, what's the next letter? I. that introduction. So we kind of skipped ahead and we looked at the introduction. So we should go back and look at our headings. Remember, your headings are those things in bold. So if I'm looking, I say, oh, how many headings do we have here? It looks like we've got 1, who was Edgar Allan Poe, 2, his early life and family. So we'll start off when he was young. 3, Army and West Point. That's interesting. That already makes me think, how does someone join the Army and also become a writer? And what is West Point? Now, I know what West Point is, but that's because I grew up near a military base, so a lot of people I know went to West Point. But you'll have to read and find out more. That kind of answers some questions. And then how do you go from being at West Point to being an editor, a critic, a poet, and a writer? And what is that? What does all that mean? So I want you guys to go through and and then he got married. That's exciting. So you can see this is quite long. There's quite a bit of information here about Edgar Allan Poe's life. And a lot of the headings themselves make us ask questions. Remember, when you've got your tangible copy, you're going to want to make annotations. You're going to want to highlight your introduction or things that seem important to you. I would write down questions. So things like when we're looking at the Army and West Point. That does make me ask some questions. If we look right here, that's our Army and West Point. That makes me ask some questions. It makes me ask, what is West Point? And how / maybe why even did, and I don't want to write out Edgar Allan Poe, so I'm just going to say EAP, each of his initials. I want to know, how did he join the Army? I'm going to ask my own questions as I read these headings so that I can read with a purpose to look for answers. Okay? So you might not be able to see that super well, but I made my questions next to my heading. Anytime you have questions or a thought, write them down. You want to remember them. Now remember, you're going to read, while you're reading those headings, it will be helpful to read every first sentence in your section, and then pay attention to those visuals and vocabulary. You can see here with visuals, we're going to look at our pictures. And you may have questions about, you feel free if you want to watch these videos. You may have questions like, what does it mean to be a critic? If that's something that you have a question about, then definitely circle those words, okay? Circle those words and look them up. You've got a teacher here to help you, and she can give you some examples too to help you understand what those words mean. If you're looking here, speculated that Poe intentionally sought to be expelled. Wow, there's quite a few big words in there. What does it mean to speculate? What does it mean to do something intentionally? As you read through, and you may not recognize all of them at once, but as you read through, if you have a hard time understanding what a sentence means or understanding words, make sure to write them down, circle them. You can grab dictionaries, you can use your phone, you can use each other's resources, but it's important to make sure you understand what you're reading. And then here, you're not going to have any end of article or end of chapter questions, okay? So you won't have that part, but you will need to summarize your thinking. So if you're going to summarize your thinking, what you're going to want to do is, the way you'll do that is every group will be assigned to 2 sections, okay? So I'll start off an example. Those of you who are in the first group, you're lucky because this is going to be your example, okay? So you're going to look at who is Edgar Allan Poe, and then you're going to read these 2 paragraphs, and then you're going to decide what are the important facts that you would want the class to know. You're going to create a 2 to 3 slide PowerPoint that you can present tomorrow to teach your class about the 2 sections that you read about. So yours would be one slide for who was Edgar Allan Poe and a second slide for his early life and family. Okay? If we're looking at who was Edgar Allan Poe, well, the fact that he was an American writer and poet, that seems important, right? So that would be worth putting down on the slide. Let's see, he captured imagination and interest of readers on the world. Ooh, a lot of people know him from all around the world. His storytelling and tales of mystery and horror gave birth to the modern detective story. That's a big deal too. Many works include Telltale Heart, Fall of the House of Usher. Some aspects of Poe's life, like his literature, is shrouded. Shrouded. That word means covered. Shrouded in mystery, and the lines between fact and fiction have been blurred. Okay. I mean, that's cool to know. I think if I'm going to write down on a slide, I definitely want to put that he was an American writer and poet who wrote short stories and poems. So here, and I like to use bullet points because I just think it makes it look neater, so you'd always click right on the more and then the bullet, right? And you can choose if you want to be different. You can make it have a star. I don't really care. So American writer and poet. Great. Stories gave birth to the modern detective story. And you don't have to use periods because you're not writing complete sentences here. So how about, let's see, aspects of Poe's life and his literature, so the literature meaning the works that he wrote, are shrouded in mystery, and the lines between fact and fiction have been blurred substantially. I would probably say there, if I'm going to summarize that Poe's writing and life is mysterious. Poe's writing and life are mysterious. I also really liked that much of his writing became classic. And are still read today, that's for sure. If you want to, you can double space. I'm not going to worry about formatting so much, but that's an example of what your slides should look like. Once you've finished your slides, you're going to want to share them with me. So you'll just share, name your presentation. You can name it, just call it Edgar Allan Poe, and then your group number, so like group 1, okay? Whatever group number you are. And then just send it to me. I'm going to send it to myself as an example. And then what I'll do is once you've sent them all to me, I'll compile them together in one slideshow. And then everybody will have a chance to present tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do some vocabulary study to help us get ready and start reading the story. So again, what you're going to do, in a quick summary of what you're going to do, is read your article. Use the thieves strategy to read your article. Get with your group, and you'll have instructions on who your group is, and together create 2 slides, one for each section, to summarize what you've read. And then be ready to have someone in your group present tomorrow. Not everybody needs to speak. I hope that helped. I'm excited for you to see what you guys came up with.